Hi, my name is Arturo O'Farrill, and I'm a little sad to say I'm a Grammy Award-winning artist. I'm the founder and director of the Afro-Latin Jazz Orchestra, the Afro-Latin Jazz Alliance, the Afro-Latin Jazz Academy. We're an organization, a 501c3, dedicated to performance, education, and preservation of an incredibly important and valuable American art form. And we're talking about Afro-Latin jazz, which apparently the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences doesn't feel is an important American art form. And that's why I'm a little bit ashamed of this golden statue. However, to reclaim my pride in this statue, I put my friend, my homie on here so that people could see I'm proud of being Mexican-Cuban. Very proud of my Mexican-Cuban-Irish heritage. There's a lot of issues at stake here, and there's been a lot written, a lot said about what it means that the National Academy of, let's just call them the Academy, decided to do away with a third of the categories in the Grammy awarding process. And they consolidated many of the categories, but the one thing that they made sure to do was do away, completely eliminate the Latin jazz category, and I want to address those issues. My first thought is that they're right for all the wrong reasons. There is no Latin jazz. Latin and jazz are inseparable. There's no subcategory. There is no one chapter out of a textbook on the history of jazz. There is no one paragraph out of a chapter or an essay or an article written about jazz. There is no 3 concerts out of a season. Latin and jazz are inseparable. They have always been part of each other, and to subcategorize these things is insane. But that's not the reason why they're doing it. They're not being culturally aware or incredibly insightful into aesthetics and cultural history. What they're doing is consolidation because they feel, and rightly so, that the major record labels are losing control of the market to independent labels. And so the major record labels have put incredible weight and power on Michael Portnoy and the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences to do away with as much competition as possible, because let's face it, with the internet, anybody with a great recording studio can make a brilliant record, and they no longer need Blue Note. They no longer need Warner Brothers. Those days are gone. But here's the thing. It's a tradition that we respect because, let's face it, a lot of great musicians, a lot of legendary musicians, a lot of brilliant music has been made that was never recognized by the Academy or by the little gold statue. Prime example, my father, Chico O'Farrill, wrote the Afro-Cuban Jazz Suite, which is widely known as one of the centerpieces of Afro-Cuban music, Afro-Latin music. In fact, it is a piece that is required listening in conservatories throughout the world. My father recorded that piece at the age of 26 with Charlie Parker in the soloist chair, and Flip Phillips and Buddy Rich, considered widely probably the centerpiece of our cultural music. He got no Grammy. He was never recognized by the Academy. But now, of course, even less of a chance, because now the Latin jazz musician, which, as I said, is a false category. It's a cultural construct that doesn't really exist. If you read the first chapter of Ned Sublet's incredibly important book, Cuba and Its Music, he quotes Mario Balsà, who says, Americans are listening to music that is essentially Cuban, but they won't admit it. They don't listen to it. They won't admit it. Latin music is, of course, foreign. It has a different language, and it uses hand drums, and so we relegate it to something that is not necessarily mainstream. All that is a construct. And here's the point. Jazz musicians, great jazz musicians, have always been denied a place. But of course, with the exclusion of Latin jazz in this category, there's even less of a chance of us making a living. Well, here's the problem. While the NARAS has it right that there shouldn't be a subcategory, the industry has it wrong. The people who book festivals, the people who book clubs, the people who sell records will always put a Valdez or a De Rivera or an O'Farrill or a Puente in the category of Latin jazz, whether or not they're really playing anything that should be subcategorized. So they'll have their Latin jazz facet, their Latin jazz festival specialty and this and that, and we'll always be stuck in that category. So what effectively the Academy has done is taken away food from our plates, because we have less of a chance of competition with the mainstream jazz acts for the Grammy category, and consequently less of that false recognition from the bookers and the festivals and the people who actually provide us with a living. It's problematic. The problem is that the culture, as I said, the cultural reasons are correct, but they're for the wrong reason. Latin jazz should have never been subcategorized. One more thought. Besides hurting us financially, it is, and you know, I've been told by my handlers to avoid rhetoric that is inflammatory. No one can deny that there is going to be the aspect of perhaps a racial overtone to this. And I don't want to ignore that. I think racism is a virulently ugly and nasty thing to accuse someone of. So we need to address that issue. And I think that I won't say that the racist card plays into this, because the real issue here is not brown skin but green money. The real issue here is about how to control the money that feeds the machine, the NARAS machine, the recording machine, and how little of it is how it's getting more and more diluted by the independents and by brilliant young artists who are changing the face of music today. And they're threatened by that. And so they subcategorized all these things to get rid of this competition. I might be wrong. I've lived my life in a way that I think is proactive, progressive, and I might be wrong. So you're welcome to contact me at afrolatinjazz.org. I have a challenge for NARAS. If it's true what you say, that this field will all of a sudden open up, and that by the exclusion of Latin jazz, we will have a more level playing field for inclusion into these categories, then let me say, our new album, 40 Acres in a Burrow, is an amazing album, the Afro-Latin Jazz Orchestra's finest work, and if we really can compete with the majors on a level playing field for the inclusion in the best large instrumental ensemble album, we'll see. We'll see on the nomination process. We'll see if we win. We'll see if it's true what Neil Portnow and the Academy says come award time. Will they take us seriously? Will they give us the weight that we deserve? All this will soon be revealed. Thank you.